I call to order this May 8th, 2023 Henderson County Board of Public Education Board meeting. Would all rise for the presentation of colors followed by the Pledge of Allegiance, please?
Halt! Ready, pose! Ready, cut! Ready, haste! Present arms!
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Order, arms! Ready, haste! My time, march! Forward, march! Forward, halt!
You may be seated. That was the North Henderson High School Air Force JROTC, led by Master Sergeant Michael Jensen and Colonel Eric Runquist. First up, we got the agenda approval. I'll take a motion when somebody's ready.
I move that we approve the agenda as written.
Is there a second? All those in favor say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Program highlight. Mr. Scott Cowan is going to highlight Henderson County Virtual Public School. Welcome, sir.
Thanks, sir. Board members and leadership team, I appreciate the opportunity to speak to you this afternoon about our Henderson County Virtual Public School. I came to this board in December of 2018 to discuss the launch of HCVPS, our virtual school. So we were providing online opportunities for high school students to obtain credits virtually before we ever heard of COVID. So we've been at this for a while and hopefully getting a little better at it each year. If you walk into any of our high schools, any period, you'll find a computer lab with students taking online classes. Those are commonly through Blue Ridge Community College, our state virtual school. We have some students taking credit recovery through Edmentum software, and we have a few students that take select classes through the North Carolina School of Science and Math, and those come to our district at no cost, the North Carolina School of Science and Math classes. But today I'm going to focus specifically on our Henderson County virtual school. As you know, we do not offer a fully virtual option. So our virtual school focuses on high school students and creating some extra opportunities for those kids. Most students in our program participate in just one class at a time as part of their regular school day. But we do have some students that will take these classes from home or take more than one. And it's mostly focused on juniors and seniors and helping them get some ideas of what they might be doing next. When HCVPS started in 2018 under the leadership of Mr. Bo Caldwell, he did what, in my opinion, any wise person would have done, and he handed it over to Dr. Jan King and Dr. Wendy Fry and told them to go with it. So they were the original founders of some of the ideas here. Dr. King and Dr. Fry came up with kind of a vision statement for HCVPS that really focused on two words, and that's flexibility and personalization. So what are we doing to open doors for kids, create more opportunities, give kids chances to do things that maybe otherwise they would not be able to do in high school? On the flexibility aspect, our classes can be taken any period during the day, so that helps our high school counselors and our administrators work with schedules. And we also have teachers at one school that are teaching high school students at another school. We have sections right now with students from all 4 traditional high schools in one class being taught by a teacher at another school. So again, this gives them a chance to maybe take a class that may not be available at their school and try something new. And then we always have students that have circumstances that make online learning a good option for them, including early graduation. And the last bullet there, we have some kids that actually just prefer to learn this way. And we know it's not great for everybody, but some kids really excel at online learning. So we like to be able to provide those opportunities for them. On the personalization, we don't just drop kids in front of a computer program and meet them on the other side. They have a teacher. It's a Henderson County teacher. These teachers provide feedback. These teachers work with students, communicate with them, work with them all through the process. Having local teachers allows us to support these students when they're struggling versus the North Carolina virtual school where we may have a teacher in Raleigh or Charlotte that we don't have any contact with. So it's nice to have our local teachers here. And finally, the differentiated assignments. As a former instructional coach, that's one thing that's so hard to do in the classroom, is to meet every kid where they are. And sometimes in an online class, that's actually easier to work individually with each child and help them work on specifically what they need to work on. When we opened, we did not purchase a learning management system like Canvas or some of the other learning systems that are out there. We were able to just keep what we had and run everything through Google Classroom. And that's a little different than some of our neighboring districts, but it has worked out very well for us because so many of our students are familiar with all of the Google slides and docs and things they've been working with since elementary school. One thing we can do with our virtual school, besides having a lot of the courses that are traditionally available, is offer some very high interest electives and school classes that would be hard to facilitate at just one school. I've just listed a few of them here, but just a couple of anecdotes from these classes. We have a drone technology class taught by a teacher at North. She loads those kids on an activity bus and takes them to Asheville at the end of the semester, where they sit for their FAA drone pilot's license. And she had students from 3 different high schools that were able to obtain that license last semester and will graduate with their FAA drone pilot's license, even though their teacher was at a different school. Our forensic science class up here, we have a teacher at the early college that was able to produce videos in conjunction with employees at the Western Crime Lab. So when students are in that class, they're seeing Henderson County people that go to work and do forensic science every day, and they hear them talk about that in that class. So we're really able to personalize a lot of these electives that would be really hard to facilitate at just one school. Very quickly on this slide, you can see we started with 16 classes in 2018, served about 192 students. This year we have over 40 classes, and over half of those are either AP or honors classes, which is something that our high school administrators requested of us. And we will serve around 450, or have around 450 credits attempted this year. So growing steadily and looking next year at around 45 classes and hopefully around 500 enrollments. So that's enough for me. I have a guest that's going to come up here quickly. That is from Hendersonville High School. She had an AP calculus exam this morning, but she still made it. And this is Hendersonville High School senior Araya McMillan. Thanks, Araya.
Hi. So as Mr. Cowan said, I'm Araya McMillan, and I'm a senior at Hendersonville High School. And last year, I was given the opportunity to take a class through HCVPS. As I was creating my junior year schedule, I had a major conflict. My sports medicine 3 class was at the same period as my school student government class, and I really wanted to take both of those classes. So the flexibility of HCVPS gave me the opportunity to continue taking sports medicine while fulfilling my student body position by taking the leadership class. Being able to take sports medicine through HCVPS allowed me to continue learning a subject I had loved and would eventually choose to go into in college. This opportunity gave me a chance to continue taking classes I enjoyed with the option to do the work wherever and whenever I was able to. I'm so thankful to be able to take classes provided by HCVPS, and thankful for the opportunities that these classes have created. So, yeah.
I walked into Hendersonville High School last week, just started talking to kids and met Araya. And so thank you so much for coming out. Our students take surveys at the end of each course, and I'll finish with this. It's a quote from one of our students that really, I think the last sentence sums up what we're doing with our virtual school. Camden loved being able to take this class anytime she wanted, work on it at home, work on it at night, work on it during the weekend, and really use that chance to learn some time management and take the class when she was ready. So with that, I'll see if you have any questions.
Can you flip it back one? When COVID was going around, we had a big thing about internet access. So now, I always forget that. Sorry. But are we able to, I don't want to just limit this to people that have internet access. If somebody would like to do this, but doesn't have internet access, we would be able to provide to help them with internet access, correct?
Correct. We really don't have that problem. Around 90% of our students take this class at school. So at one of our traditional high schools, they'll take 3 regular classes and report to a computer lab to take this class while they're at school. We do have situations where students take classes from home, take more than one, but we don't run into that a lot because most of this takes place at school.
I just want to make sure that we're providing every student every opportunity that we can, so that's good.
We do have some classes available this summer, and students know if they don't have internet access and they're interested in those classes, they can let me know, and we've in the past worked with those students.
Okay, thank you.
Sure.
Any other questions?
I just want to say what a great opportunity this is for our students, an added opportunity. And I love the little phrase, your place, your pace, your place. And so I applaud you and all the forerunners of bringing this program and making it available to our students.
Thank you. And I did just notice one of our teachers over here, Ms. Carly Allman, teaches anatomy all over the district and does a great job with that. So just another example of what we're able to do. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Conn. Now, the reason I think that most of you are here, we've got a few student recognitions today. So be patient with us. We've got quite a few.
Mr. Chairman, members of the board, it's my honor to present the student recognitions. This is always a highlight of our meetings, and I was thrilled to come in and see it filled up with young people and the folks who decided to bring them out. So thank you for coming out this evening. First, we like to always start out this meeting in May with our military enlistments and to honor those young men and women who have enlisted to serve our country. So when you hear your name, what we'd like for you to do is come up and we're going to put you on center stage and literally on stage. So we'd like for you to come up so everybody can get a good look and we can salute you all at one time. So starting with North Henderson High School, we have Mauricio Hernandez Ogario, who's enlisted in the U.S. Air Force. Samuel Munoz Espinosa, who's enlisted in the National Guard. Samuel McGraw, who's enlisted in the Air Force. Henry Portella, who's enlisted in the National Guard. Caitlin Ramsey, Air Force. Gilbert Rodriguez, Army. Rodolfo Taizan, National Guard. Chico Vega, National Guard. Miguel Zaragoza Linares, Air Force. Antonio Altamirano, Navy. Anthony Dwayne Banks, Marines. Charles Barber, Army. And Bonerges Altamirano Ortiz, Navy. So that is North Henderson High School. So let's give them an applause and have them hang on for us. So y'all stand there and look pretty. You're doing a great job. We'll move now to the Henderson County Early College. We have Morgan Johnson, who's enlisted in the Air Force, and Jonathan Ventura, who's enlisted in the U.S. Navy. Moving to Henderson County Career Academy, Jaden Castillo, National Guard, Brandon Murgaz, National Guard, and Shakayla Smith, National Guard. East Henderson High School, Levi Canuli, the Marines. Hendersonville High School, Cole Moore, U.S. Army. West Henderson High School, Theron Rodriguez, Air Force. Ryan Lecker, Navy. And Zach Anderson, Navy. So it's never lost on me, ladies and gentlemen, of the sacrifice that you're making. It's never lost on me of you stepping out on faith and taking the opportunity to serve your country. And I just want to say, on behalf of a grateful nation, we say thank you. And if we can give every name who has been read and everyone who is here a nice ovation, that would be appreciated. So thank you. You can relax and stop smiling now. Now we move forward with our student recognitions, and we'll have the principals come down and honor these students. We'll start off with Hendersonville High School.
Well, I'm very pleased to come do a couple of things, but I'm going to turn this first part over to our mock trial teacher, who is Mr. Jerry Smith. So, Mr. Smith, this is yours.
All right, thank you. First of all, good afternoon, and thank you for having us today. And I will share with you, thank you for your service to Henderson County. You have to deal with a lot of things on the school board, so appreciate you taking the time to do it and putting all the energy that you put into it in what is a great school system. So I'm very fortunate today to be here to recognize the mock trial team that I and Catherine Wells coach. So, Ms. Wells, can I ask you to come up here with me? Any good coach is no good without a good assistant coach, and I have the best volunteer in Henderson County Public Schools right here. This past year, we made it to the semifinals, and we lost in the semifinals 2-1 on ballots, and the one ballot we lost by 1 point. So you're looking at a team that was 1 point away from being in the finals this year. I'd like to give a quick shout out to the entire team before I call them up here. Mock trial has been a tumultuous trip the last 4 years. 4 years ago, our senior on the team was scheduled to go to the state finals, and 3 days before we go, COVID hits. 3 years ago, we have two seniors who wrote on the team. Everything was virtual. I saw the kids 3 times the whole year. Last year, I was in a trailer. You probably remember those trailers. And so we would practice in a canopy tent outside the trailer until it got cold. We went into the library, and then COVID hit us again, and we had to go from live to virtual. So it's been a long road the last 4 years. So I'm particularly proud of these mockers because they've done a great job. Mr. Wilkins didn't give me a heads up of exactly here we got it. So what I'm going to do is call up all the members of the team up here to introduce and to recognize them. You'll see on your screen here, several of them won individual awards. They were the regional winner as well as state semifinalists. And so I'll mention them, what we have on here, as well as what's up there. So the first team member is Laura Shelton. Laura has a soccer game tomorrow. As you can see, Laura was an all-regional winner for us as well. Our next award is for Rose Henderson. Rose was all-regional and all-state. Our next is Mary Shelton. Mary was all-regional, no relation at all to Laura. This next guy I'm not sure about, but we got him here. Our next is J.T. Smith, who is an all-state mock trial team winner. Our next is Hilton Swing. Hilton was also an all-state mocker. Our next is Brock Hill, also all regional. Our next award, whoa, this is not us. Hold on, I'll set this aside. So I'm going to recognize the rest of the members of the mock trial team that are here because they are a group that did very well. So in the audience, Sam Kowalik. And Hayden Thompson. And that is your Hendersonville High School mock trial team. Very proud of them.
I'm going to jump down to the bottom where we're talking about Governor's School. Jackie Hernandez. Is Jackie here? I didn't see her, is the reason I'm asking. Yeah, she's got dance practice. But she got invited to come to Governor's School this year for dance. She's actually our next year's student body president, too, so she's a good one. So congratulations to her. Our orchestra and band last month went to Disney. And our orchestra teacher is not here, but Mr. Phillips, our band teacher, will take care of this, and it was a great trip, I have to say.
Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. We took about 108 students down to Disney at the end of the month, and both groups performed very well. Took a full orchestra this time instead of doing a string orchestra. So we blended both classes together, and both groups did very well. They've received superior ratings, highest score of the day in both categories, and the band was also recognized with a Outstanding Soloist Award by Luke Morris. So, receiving the certificates today is Rakeem Bream from orchestra. And then for band, we have Maddie Palmer, who's the band president, and drum major Emily Phillips.
I will say one other thing about this group. They presented at 7:30 in the morning on Saturday morning at Disney World. So they got to be in the parks all afternoon, but they were at 7:30 in the morning. I had to be there at about 7 o'clock watching them, so it was a good time.
Next, we'll go with West Henderson High School. Come on up. Ms. King. You want to do that? Why don't you do the orchestra?
I can do that.
There you go. There you
Thank
go.
you.
We'll make it.
Hello, my name is Tiffany King. I'm the orchestra and chorus director at West Henderson High School. We were very pleased to attend MPA this year, in person, of course. Our seniors were supposed to go to Nashville their freshman year. However, we know how that played out. I'm very pleased with their performance. They represented our school and our county very well. There's 3 stage judges. 2 of them gave us a 98 out of 100. 1 gave us a 99. And then our sight reading received a 99 on our sight reading. And I'm very proud of our students. They represented us very well. So thank you. Come on, guys. Oh, sure. As they come by, this is River McLaws, who also has a soccer game. Connor Poole, Julissa Floor, Isabel Burkdone, Elizabeth Crane, and Levi Fox.
Next, I'll bring up Mr. Keith Deese, who will share about a name that I think you've heard before. So, Mr. Deese.
Good afternoon. Again, my name is Keith Deese. I'm the woodworking teacher at West Henderson High School. Mrs. Courtney Maddox, who's our drafting teacher, and myself are also the advisors for Skills USA chapter at West Henderson. Yes, some of you here last year will remember one of the names in particular I talk. I'm going to save him till the end. I want to start out, we went this year to state competition, did very well, very proud of our students. In the promotional bulletin board team build category, Cyrus Galloway, Sadie Luce, and Carla Quiroz Estrada. Did I say it right, Carla? No. I was doomed to fail. All right. They finished second place in the state. Very proud of them. If y'all will just come, when I call you, come on up, please. In the Engineering Skill Project Showcase event, which, sorry. All right, come here, girls. Let me find your, nope, not you. Nope.
If you go out of order, we're in trouble.
I'm sorry. I just want, I like to make problems. People know that. There we go. Sadie, congratulations. And Carla, there you go. Congratulations. All right. In the cabinet making, or the Engineering Skill Project Showcase event, where these 2 young men, they're both engineering students of Mrs. Maddox's. They built a project that they took to present and to showcase. Students from all over the state were bringing these projects. That's Alan Bartley and Reese Butts. Again, I'm going to shuffle through these. There we go. Alan? Congratulations. And Reese? Congratulations. You're welcome. All right. Not only did engineering have a project showcase, cabinet making did as well, where these students built a project, took it with them to display. Finishing in 3rd place this year in the project showcase was Clay Beal. Clay built a dresser, which actually he built it specifically for his room, a very nice dresser that, let me make sure I've got the right one for you. No, that's not it. He's in here twice, sorry. All right, you only get one certificate. Just stand by. And finishing 1st place was Tucker McAbee. Tucker built, you've probably seen, if you've ever looked online, you've seen these epoxy river pour tables. They look like the river through the middle. That's what Tucker made. And within, I think, 1 week of competition, he had sold it for like $3,000. So there's money in woodworking. If you think about it, take it with your teachers, all right? All right, so, sorry, Tucker. All right, we didn't have certificates for those, but we're going to go to the live build. So cabinet making live build, this is where you saw this young man last year. These students, they are given the same materials, they are given the same plans, all the students competing, and they have 6.5 hours to build something off of the plans. Actually, in 2021, Tucker was the state champion. It was a virtual build. 2022, Clay was the state champion. This year, Tucker finished 4th. Frankly, I think he got robbed, and Clay again finished first. So by finishing first in this competition, that qualifies you for the national competition. So last year, Clay went to nationals, finished third in the nation. There were 35 different states represented there. Not all of them made it because they're still in COVID protocol. He finished number 3. The number 1 and 2 are both seniors who graduated. Well, and he is now qualified to go again, where we have every hope that this time he's going to bring home first place for Henderson County Schools. Tucker? I swear it's here, Clay. There we go. You already have one? All right. Thank you very much.
Next, we'll move to North Henderson High School and Dr. John Shepard.
Thank you, Mr. Garrett, and thank you, members of the board. We appreciate your guys' time, and we appreciate all the students and parents being here tonight. And speaking of backup, I'm going to call in retired Colonel Eric Runquist for backup. I don't know how many people can call a retired colonel in for backup, but I'm going to do that now.
How many are brave enough?
Yeah, that's exactly right. I'm going to let him talk about the ROTC competition. As you guys can see here tonight, they're very skilled. There's a lot of work that goes into drill competitions, color guard competitions, and they had the opportunity to compete on a national stage. And one thing I can say about these students that we're going to recognize tonight, and not really just them, but really the whole core or the cadets at North Henderson High School, there's 110 of them. We're one of the largest programs in the Southeast, and Colonel leads that program along with Master Sergeant Christopher Clark, and they do an excellent job. North Henderson High School's ROTC takes students not just from North Henderson High School, but we also have students from East Henderson High School and Apple Valley Middle. And so there are a number of students from across the county and feeding into this these Corps of Cadets. They do a phenomenal job. Athletic teams have a season. One of the things I've recognized about Colonel Runquist and these cadets is I think their season starts around July and runs until, well, July, because they're year-round. And they're always working. They're always in one part of the parking lot doing drill. They're always out on every color guard. One of the phenomenal things I love about these students and our leaders is they serve the community in so many different ways. If you pay attention to social media and you're paying attention to our newspapers, the North Henderson ROTC and this group especially with our color guard, they do so many things for our veterans in veteran affairs and services around the area. And so they're constantly being called out. Their names are being called upon. I got a phone call last week from the Asheville Tourist and said, hey, we heard about these guys. Can you bring them to the Asheville Tourist? They don't know that yet, so we're going to set that up. But I'm just really proud of them, and I know Colonel Runquist is as well. And so I want to give him an opportunity to kind of share about the national competition, since we're talking about national here. As Mr. Garrett told me, he said, we're just going to claim a national championship, and I'm down with that. So well, I'll let Colonel Runquist, let's give him a round of applause for all his work and service. Absolutely.
Members of the board, again, Dr. Shepard, thank you so much. With the Air Force Junior Reserve Officer Training Corps, we do service the community, as Dr. Shepard had noted. We enjoy doing it. We love doing it. A lot of people will obviously think that Junior Reserve Officer Training Corps is an enlistment on-ramp, and actually it is not, although I did see a lot of my former students up on the stage today, so it's really nice. And obviously our primary focus is just being good stewards of the community, so I really appreciate that. So for the Florida competition, it was run by the Air Force Association, and pretty much what they did is they grouped together kind of regional champions throughout the entire state of Florida, and we competed. And that was really the first time that we'd competed all semester long. We've had a couple of other competitions that we went in. Charlotte, we were able to compete, and our Western North Carolina championships were unfortunately delayed and then canceled or pushed back until October of this year. So now we're prepping for that. So on that though, the state of Florida heard about us. They said, hey, we're interested in having you guys come down and compete. We were one of the states that actually went the furthest to go down there. Our two competition teams that actually won, in fact, all four commanders for each of those teams are the four cadets that posted out the colors for the Pledge of Allegiance today. And I'm super proud of them, super proud of the group of kids that went out there for that. So a lot of people like, well, what is dual competition? So 2 of my color guards actually went out there and actually competed using other Army commands. And they were given a specific set of orders that they have to memorize, probably 60 to 70 commands that they have to go through, and they have to do it with precision. And then on the regulation drill, there's another competition element that goes through, again, about another 50 to 60 sets of commands. They have to keep their formation within an operational box so they don't go out. And then finally, our unarmed exhibition team, where we actually go out there and we just kind of create our own sort of routine, and they go out there and compete. Both our color guard teams and our unarmed exhibition team, the judges are just floored. They're really, really amazed by what Henderson County had brought to the table. We are looking at trying to go to a competition again, like I said, in Western North Carolina in October. We'll do that. And then now we're looking at 2 events, either the Nationals in Ohio in spring of next year, or the U.S. Air Force Academy, my alma mater, in the spring as well for next year. So really excited about that, and I really want to thank each and every one of you guys for taking the time to recognize our kiddos for sure. Thank you. Can you call them up? Okay. Got it. I'm trying to make sure we didn't steal somebody else's. Okay, that's good. He's a good one. That's a good one.
Colby Paris. Fiona Mill. Michaela Manley. Joshua Closius. And Kane Herman. Thank you.
Before you leave, I want to appreciate you being here and Master Sergeant Clark, because if y'all weren't here, this wouldn't be possible. So we appreciate what you're doing. Thank you.
Next, we'll bring up Miss Allison to honor Hendersonville Middle School.
Thank you. The first person I would like to honor is Olivia Chen, who wrote an essay for the Daughters of the American Revolution. And the topic of the essay was Delegate to Second Continental Congress. So the students had to research the colonies, they had to discover the delegates from their chosen colony, and then they had to learn about the issues of the day. And Olivia Chen, with the help of Miss Boyette and our media specialist, Carrie Crowder-Cheek, wrote an essay that not only won the local competition, it won the regional competition, and it took first place at the state competition. So we would like to bring down Olivia Chen and recognize her. Make sure we got this one. And the other student we are going to recognize today is Ruby Huggins, who she actually put together a project for National History Day and won at the regional level and then went and competed at the state level. The title of her project was A New Frontier in Computer Science. So we would like to recognize Ruby Huggins for her win at National History Day. Thank you.
Next, we bring up Dr. Katie Bradley. She's a doctor now that we see her again, so congratulations on obtaining that. So congratulations, and we'll let you honor Hillendale.
Yes. The doctorate doesn't compare to what our students earned and what they do. So I just first, I'm going to have, actually want the whole team come out. Come on. I was hoping there would be more people here to see this fabulous trophy that we won, but it's okay. Y'all put us toward the end of the, come on up, come on, right here, right here. So this is Miss Martin, and this was the first ever Lego League Challenge. Dr. Marlowe and several different office people had gotten a grant for us to be able to do a robotics program. So this was the first year that we did it. And Miss Martin has done robotics a little bit before, but she volunteered, so these students would stay after school, what, once a week? Yep, once a week, and they had to code their robots to do certain things, correct? Okay, I'm making sure I got that right. Is that right, Haddon? Okay, good. I should really probably let him tell you how to do what goes on. But they, there were how many teams were there? 25 teams, not just Henderson County elementary school teams, but we had teams from Charlotte there, Buncombe County, right? And who won? Us. Hillendale Elementary. Not that it's about winning, okay, all the time. I don't have sports anymore, so this is what we got, all right? So I'm extremely proud of these guys and the work that they put in. It was a long day of competition, and they represented Hillendale Elementary School so well. And I'm so appreciative of Ms. Martin and her work with them. So without further ado, I'm going to call your name, okay? You're going to get your award, and then go over there, and I'm going to take a picture of you, so smile good, okay? You ready? All right. Miss Abigail Allman. Congratulations, Abby. If you didn't know, her mother is the NCVPS teacher, HCVPS, over here. All right, next, Jarrett Burnett. Congratulations, Jarrett. Yesenia Cabrera. Natalie Lamb. Oh, Haddon will take the trophy. Okay. Haddon Marceau Puzon. Congratulations, sir. Delilah Milby Weiler. Zachary Newquist could not be here today, but I want to go ahead and give him a round of applause. Last but not least, Mr. Grayson Saltz. We'll be passing the trophy around for a little, we're going to take a little money for Hillendale Elementary after this. Just a little donation to the robotics program. Go Huskies. Go Huskies. Wait, somebody barked? I didn't hear it.
Next, we'll honor Hendersonville Elementary School with Miss Henderson.
It sure has cleared out, hasn't it? Good afternoon. I am here to share some fabulous news about two of my students here at Hendersonville Elementary School, but let me explain a little bit about what they did. First, all of our fifth graders at Hendersonville Elementary do science fair projects. So they all completed their science fair projects. 6 of our students went to the Western region and 5 placed at Western region. These two wonderful people, so let's have Lillian and Sam come on up. Just stand right here for me just a minute. Lillian and Sam both placed first at Western region, and so were allowed to go to the state. And then when they went to the state, they both placed. So Lillian Jones placed at the Dewey Susan Rawls Memorial Award at the NC State level, and they were at NC State as they did this. And then Sam placed honorable mention at the NC State level.
Yeah, there's this company thing that Army, I don't know if they put it up there.
No.
There's this engineering company.
That tagged you in some of the stuff?
Yeah.
Very good. So we have got engineers right here at the making, and they have worked very hard. They are wonderful students. So let's go ahead and give this to Lillian Jones. And Sam Kane.
And that concludes our student recognitions. And I know it takes a little while, but I'm not going to apologize for that because that's why we are here. And it's great to have a reminder and just see all the variety of successes going on across the district from month to month. So thank you for that time.
No, that is why we're here. Next is board chair observations, and that's, it does take a while, and I hate that everybody does clear out so you don't see the last people there, but it is absolutely why I joined the board and why everybody else joined the board to help kids. But I'll pass on observations to board members. Anyone on this side?
I just got to tour Mills River this past week. It was amazing. They had children, actually, that gave us tours. They were awesome. I'd like to see more of that. Yep.
I was just going to say, Mr. Craven and Ms. Norman were with me. We visited Upward Elementary this week, and I think we left every single room with a huge smile. I mean, they just worked so hard there with their kids, so it was great to see.
Absolutely. Did you? Good. All right. Moving on. Next up is going to be public input, and the first public input is for the 23-24 proposed budget. I did not see anything in there that anybody wanted to make any remarks on the proposed budget. Ms. Clayton, was there anything else up there? All right. Moving on to regular old public comments. First up is going to be Ms. Katie Gash. Welcome, Ms. Gash.
Good afternoon, everyone. Good afternoon, Mr. Chairman, Mr. Superintendent, and members of the board. As you know, I'm an 8th grade math teacher here in Henderson County, and I'm passionate about the pursuit of equity in education. I appreciate the conversations that we have had. I appreciate being able to come here and share my comments with you, and I'm grateful for the follow-up that you have given me personally and the way you have applauded my efforts to better myself in this area. But I do not think we're doing enough from the top-down district level, where it really matters, to make sure that all teachers are receiving professional development in the area of equity, and especially in the area of racial equity. We have 23 schools in our county, and each school is made up of subgroups which are monitored for growth and proficiency. White is a subgroup, Black is a subgroup, Hispanic is a subgroup, economically disadvantaged is a subgroup, etc. Some schools have 2 subgroups, some schools have 4, others have 6 or 7. It all depends on how diverse your student population is. And each subgroup is monitored for growth and proficiency. And not only does each school get a letter grade, A, B, C, or D, but each subgroup at each school gets a letter grade. We have approximately 90 subgroups which are monitored. And of these 90 subgroups in our 23 schools, only 2 are Black, which speaks to the lack of diversity in this area in our county. And where do you think these 2 subgroups rank in terms of proficiency? Out of 90, these 2 subgroups rank 67th and 80th. I have come before you several times advocating for greater emphasis to be placed on professional development for teachers in the area of recognizing our implicit biases and deficit mindsets and in incorporating culturally relevant pedagogy into the classroom experience. In November of 2021, I was excited. I attended a conference in Raleigh hosted by DPI, and I learned about the North Carolina State Board of Education's 2025 strategic plan. Goal number 3 was to increase educator preparedness to meet the needs of every student by 2025. And under goal number 3, objective number 1 reads like this: to increase the number of culturally relevant, equity-focused resources for educators. And I believe that the number 1 resource that is needed is professional development opportunities. As you know, I continue to seek these out for myself and to share them with my colleagues as best I can, but it really does need to come from the top. And so I come here before you once again because I'm not hearing your voice in this area, and I'm not seeing you lead in this area in a consistent, unapologetic, bold fashion that acknowledges our woeful shortcomings in educational equity and commits to doing the hard work and leading the tough conversations around race and opportunity and equity in our schools. In closing, I leave you with 2 quotes that resonated with me. I heard them at the last seminar I went to, Teaching in Color, hosted in Durham by the Center for Racial Equity in Education. I attended this on my own time with my own money because my students cannot afford for me to sit back and wait for the district. Quote number 1, dialogue is transformative because it fosters understanding. And quote number 2, and thank you for your patience with me, we cannot have color-mute conversations and expect to address race-related inequities. Thank you so much.
Thank you. And next we have Mr. Chris Walters.
Good afternoon, everyone. Katie, you might consider the possibility that the reason they're not responding to you is they don't see you, okay? And I didn't intend to say that, but let me talk about what I come here to talk about. I noticed as a child, I was told certain things that I took for granted were true, okay? One thing back in the 50s, they said, we never had slavery in Henderson County. I must have heard it several times. And I never questioned that. There was not a space in my mind to even see that. And it wasn't, I don't know why that was. But it was surprising to me recently when it was right in front of my eyes. It took me several times to see it. And I saw it in the, I've been told several times, I probably saw it in the paper, but it was invisible to me. So I'm not getting on you guys about not seeing. Sometimes we're just not going to see stuff, okay? And I don't know what it takes to, it took me 50 years sometimes, okay? Here's an article from the Hendersonville Times News, 2004 by Jenny Giles Giles, located in HendersonHeritage.com. According to slave records on census reports, several of the early pioneer settlers had slaves. As farms grew and owners prospered and more settlers began arriving in the early 1800s, the buying and selling and trading of slaves here was common. The Henderson County slave schedule, I never heard about that, shows most of the settlers who owned slaves had 1 or 2, with some owning 10 to 20. That was shocking to read that. A legal instrument written in the county records concerns a mortgage secured by a slave, used as collateral, I found. It is the first transaction on page 1, deed book 1. Ruth Cordell, this is what it says, Ruth Cordell, for and in consideration of $50 in hand-paid, does bargain, seal, and deliver unto John Clayton, one Negro girl named Celia, about 14 years old. The sum to be repaid January 1, 1840. The document was recorded February 27, 1839, and signed February 16, 1839. Now, Indiana Jackson actually said that probably a year or so ago. I vaguely heard it, but I actually didn't hear it, I guess. till I saw it written in the, saw it on the board there in the little museum here. The other thing, in the 1950s, I didn't hear about, I moved here in 1955 with my family. Emmett Till was killed that year in 1955. I guarantee you, didn't hear about it. I think I was in this building probably in 1956, went to Immaculata in 1957. Never heard about Emmett Till. And I didn't hear about it until I was an afternoon in Flower Rock Middle School library, probably about 2010. I reached up on the shelf and found a book about Emmett Till. Never heard about it. I'm baby boomer from post World War II era. I asked a lot of my contemporaries, when did you learn about Emmett Till? They said, well, about 5-10 years ago. So I'm not trying to blame people for not hearing stuff, but it's hard if you get something in your head, your culture's big. Culture says this doesn't exist, this is not happening. You just don't hear it, okay? Even as much as I was open to hearing it, I didn't have any reason not to, couldn't hear stuff. Okay.
Thank you, Mr. Wall.
Okay.
Okay. Consent agenda is our next topic. I will take a motion to approve the consent agenda as presented.
I move we approve the consent agenda as written.
Is there a second? Second. All those in favor say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Consent is to show them what we request.
You got it.
Yeah.
You've done this before.
Once or twice.
So yeah, quick recap, just where we are. This is our 22-23 budget. And what we're specifically talking about today is the piece in red down there, the local portion. Everything else comes to us, it's been directed to us, but what we met about in the work session was that local portion down on the bottom left side. So where we are this year, just to put up there to give us a frame of reference, our current expense appropriation, $31,378,000 that comes to us from the county commissioners, along with $1.5 million for capital outlay projects. Giving us $32,878 for our total appropriation, and then the additional part of what's the MRTS, the $5 million that comes to us for those dedicated capital outlay projects that are managed through the county from the part of the sales tax that they get. So after looking at that, and then Mr. Craven said, we had the board workshop, and we discussed several items about where we are moving into next year. And the big chunk of what comes out of local, because we have to pay a lot of local positions, we have to support the entire maintenance budget out of local. There's no state funding for that. So we have what we have as our local payroll uncontrollables, which is covering all the legislated salary and benefit increases that we have to have for the upcoming year. Now, right now, we only have the House budget side of that, and that's what we have built this $1.2 million on, based on theirs, which is roughly about a 4% increase to the salaries, with a couple $100 per person increase to insurance, and about the same amount for the retirement. We're still waiting for the Senate to release their side, and then they will get together and hash out what ultimately will become our budget. But this is the best guess that we have at this point based on the House budget. Yes, we also have the governor's budget, but the governor's budget rarely looks anything like what actually comes out with the General Assembly's final budget. So that's just a fun read. But the other part that we have is $500,000 for operational increases. So one of the other side effects of the last couple of years is everything got very expensive, and all of our property got reappraised, so our insurance has gone way up, unfortunately. As well as utility rates have gone up to keep the buildings. And the side effect of us asking for more money is that we have to share that with the charter schools. So there's part of the request of our increase is to fund the charter schools as well. And as their percentage increases, our contribution to the charter schools goes up. We'll be paying about $2 million of our
county appropriation will go to the charter schools and not stay here with us. Additionally, we talked about doing a 0.25% increase to the local supplement, and so that being for the non-certified going up to 7%, and for the certified teachers up to 9.25%. And that's going to run about $260,000 for next year. So that gives us, I'm going to skip ahead and come back to that in a second. That gives us a $1,960,000 increase, is what we settled on at the end of the budget workshop a couple weeks ago. So that is what the additional request will be. There's no increase to the capital outlay side. Just the way it looks is different list of projects from last year. So continuing $1.5 million. Mr. Taylor has worked through the maintenance department and identified this list of projects as being the highest priority for next year to spend that $1.5 million, and that was what he presented at the workshop. So that is how we get to this part right here of asking for $34,838,000 to be appropriated to us. The MRTS is separate. We don't ask for that. That is a different conversation with the sales tax and the project list through the commissioners. So any further conversation we want to have on that, I'd be glad to talk about with you.
Yeah, my only suggestion, what Mr. Garrett and I were just talking about here, is that TBD number. You don't walk up there with a TBD number, right?
Correct.
And so last year's appropriation for the Mr. T money was $5.13 million bucks. You know, there's escalation, of course. They said that they're going to do a revenue neutral tax rate. Everybody's bill for their property taxes has increased substantially this year. They've the county manager has suggested dropping the rate back to, call it 43 cents, something like that, somewhere around there, 43.1. And so I think that number, it needs to have at least an escalation on it from the Mr. T's money that we've had before, because what we've been able to do with that money is double point access for our schools, security cameras for our school, Chromebooks for each and every student in our schools, maintenance such as roofs and everything that our schools need to do. And the problem is that a lot of school systems, you know, we were lucky about 5 years ago, Mr. Lapsley started this process to really throw that money in there so that we can stay ahead of our 2.whatever million square feet of space that we have, our 23 schools, so on and so forth. And so we have to go in there with a number and be prepared to defend that number so that we can, so that is thought about during that budget process. Right, so I'm not exactly what that number should be. If it's just a flat 6% increase based on what we did last year, that's kind of what inflation's kind of looking like for the year. But that, if we get behind on those capital outlay dollars, you're going to pay for it someday.
Absolutely.
And either going to pay for it in $5 million chunks, or you're going to pay for it in a $50 million chunk. So we need to make sure that number, you know, I did some quick math and it was like 5.5 million bucks would be the increase year over year, right? And so I think we need to make sure before we send him up the street that we need to make sure we have that number outlined.
So one of the additional things that we will also present next week for your knowledge, Mr. Chair and members of the board, is kind of that comprehensive list of things that we shared as far as the replacement, the HVAC replacement, the systems replacement, the roofing replacements, to give them kind of a 10 or 15-year look at what you're seeing on the big replacement list. Two ways of looking at your capital outlay number could be an increase like we're asking on a percentage, or to really look at that estimated what a penny's going to bring in and assign the 3 cents to what they're estimating the penny. So either total, is there a preference in which?
Well, the hard part right now is they don't know what that penny looks like. They haven't decided what their penny means. And so it's hard for us. It's kind of like coming up with a budget when Bernie shakes his crystal ball and tries to figure out what the budget's going to be for the state in May. And so we need to be prepared to defend and see how many of those HVAC controls and what we can knock out. What does that look like for this year? If that's 5.5, awesome. If it's 6, so be it. But we need to make sure that we don't go up there with a TBD.
Yeah, no, we're not. The reason that's that way this goes, we're still in those conversations now. We will have something for next week, and the actual request that we have, the number that I need to have is that 34 million for this to come out of the board today.
Sure, sure.
Or whatever number you come up with.
No, I think the request is appropriate. We're increasing ever so slightly the supplement. It's definitely not keeping pace with inflation or anything else that people are paying for. I mean, $500,000 of that is what, just keeping the lights on from increased utilities.
Yeah.
There's not much you can do with that. Questions, comments, concerns?
So is there a percentage you would like?
I mean, I would say minimum 6%. 6% adds $310,000-ish, makes it $5.5 million.
Okay, is that in addition to the penny that we're asking for?
Well, the penny, I mean, you can ask for the penny, but we don't know what the penny is. It's what the penny is, how much the penny is worth, but we don't know.
Understood. So my concern is exactly your concern. If we don't get out in front, we're going to get behind.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And so if you don't know what the penny is, you can put the penny, I don't know, whatever, but we don't know what that actually is. We're guessing on that dollar amount as well.
But to be clear, it would be the 6%, 6.2%, what are we?
Yeah, I mean, somewhere around there, and that's basically what the increase is.
In addition to, which would actually move us out ahead if we were able to get it, whatever that number is.
Say that again?
Okay, just to be clear.
Yeah.
The 6.2% is what we're asking for, in addition to the penny, which we don't know what that is as yet. But if we do get the penny, I'm just making sure that I'm on the same page.
No, scroll back to fiscal year 22, 23. Keep going. Keep going. Right there. So at the very bottom row there is what a penny has been over the last couple of years.
Okay.
So we knew that because they outlay how much the tax rate's going to be for a 4-year period of time, right? So we know that going forward. So the next 3 years won't be as difficult as it is right now to estimate what that is. I just multiplied 6% times 5.132424, and you get right around $5.5 million. Does that make sense?
Mm-hmm.
And that's why I say, you put that number on there because that's kind of the way inflation works. Now, if the penny is more or less, they're going to let us know. But I'm just concerned about having a TBD number sitting there when you go up to present in front of 100 people.
Oh, there'll be a number. Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, I think
the
there'll be,
estimated number, and they'll tell us what it actually is.
so we're just saying the 6% is going to be because of inflation.
That's kind of how we've run it since we started this. There's been an escalator
Right.
in there. And it's paid for projects like the West Project, the Upward Project. We had the bus garage in there at one point, but then the bus garage instead of $3 million, became $13 million. We paid for cameras and so on and so forth. So I just want to make sure that my only concern was just TBD. You have a number in there. And then you defend the number. And then we can't predict what 1% is until they actually make the tax rate. So we have no idea what that actually means.
I'm just scared of just going in there and asking for 6% more because of.
The good thing, like Mr. Garrett said, he's got that whole list that we all saw, right? I mean, it was
Yep.
a million pages long, right? Of how many control the HVAC controls and all of that stuff. Well, that's going to eat up $6 million or $5.5 million really quick. So as long as we're showing that, I'm okay. Let them know what we have coming down. Does that make sense? Anybody?
I think one of the big things of my goal is just to use that to show the need.
Sure.
To really show what that return on investment would be and what you're able to click off as a county. As Mr. Craven shared, the bill comes due on these items when they sunset their lifespan anyway, whether you're talking about a roof or whether you're talking about a parking lot. So kind of giving our commissioners a chance to see this is where that money will go. This is the lifespan that we're using. This is how we're trying to maintain to make sure that you don't get into a total renovation project or a total rebuild project into some of these facilities that we know you have to take care of. To remind folks, there's about 2 million square feet that you're responsible for as a Board of Education and a little over 600 acres that you take care of as well. So that money adds up very, very quickly. But it's certainly the preventative money, which I really appreciate the vision that the county Board of Commissioners had when they laid this out there to kind of see where that goes. And we can show them line item by line item where that need is.
Very good. All right, I'll take a motion when everybody's ready.
I move that the Henderson County Board of Public Education approve the 2023-2024 county appropriation request.
Is there a second?
Second.
All those in favor say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Thank you, Bernie.
Yes.
All right, Dr. Marlowe, your turn. All right, authorization to submit the federal program applications.
So we are asking this evening for approval to submit the entitlement grants for Title I, Title II, Title III, and Title IV. So Title I is, includes those funds that help us catch kids up, create level playing fields for all students. It also includes the homeless education, the McKinney-Vento funds, as well as our migrant ed funds and that program, the migrant and population funds. Title II is about building teacher capacity. It's professional development funds. Title III has to do with our English learners, and Title IV is about student support and achievement enrichment grants. That also has a piece in there that has to do with school safety and mental health is Title IV. We're just asking for authorization to submit the applications for these federal fund grants.
Questions?
Dr. Marlowe, when you get our approval, then you write the grants and then you have to bring them back to us for approval again?
No, once we have them, they're entitlement grants, so the funds are there if we choose to write the grants.
Okay.
And so the window typically opens June 1st, and normally they're due by August 31st. We'll be writing those over the summer and then get approval, hopefully first round by the state.
Thank you.
Questions about any of these grants or Title I, II, III, IV? Quiet bunch. All right, here we go. I'll take a motion if somebody's ready.
I move the Henderson County Board of Public Education grant staff the authorization to submit federal funding applications as outlined in the request.
Second.
Perfect. Oh, second, Ms. Kasky beat you. All those in favor say aye. Yes. Any opposed? Thank you. You're up again, right?
I am.
Take it away. Alternative accountability model.
So each year we are tasked by the state for choosing the best option for our alternative accountability model, our alternative school, the Career Academy. So I'm coming to you this evening to request approval to select option B. We prefer option B because it's not the same accountability model that all of our schools use, and the Career Academy offers flexibility. We feel like option B provides that flexibility for our students. It rewards student persistence. It also places a heavy emphasis on student growth, and then we also can use 3 years of data should we choose option B. So we are requesting that you approve us to submit this to testing and accountability with option B as our decision.
As far as you're concerned, how many years have we used option B? I mean, we've done it since I've been on the board.
We have, and last year, so on the very last page of that document, you'll see that there is a way to move up in progression. So for several years, their Career Academy was designated as a CSI school, a comprehensive school improvement school, and they were at maintaining. And then this past year, they moved up to progressing. So it is working. They are making good gains. And so we feel like that's a much better option to kind of encompass the work that's going on in that building with our students.
Any questions on the accountability model for the Career Academy?
And a little additional information, I do not know of a district that does not go with option B for this alternative learning program.
All right, if there are no other questions, I'll take a motion.
I move that the Henderson County Board of Public Education approve option B, the alternative schools progress model, as the accountability model for the Career Academy for the 23-24 school year.
Second? All those in favor say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Thank you much.
Thank you.
Mr. Rhodes, Henderson County Public School Child Care Playground Project. Welcome, sir.
Thank you, sir. It gives me great pleasure to come to the board this evening to be able to talk about the Child Care Playground Project. Before I get started, though, I just want to make sure that everyone on the board knows this has really been a group effort from a lot of the members of our leadership team, Mr. Taylor and Mr. Socia, and also our purchasing agent, Joni Hutchmeyer. So as we go through this, just want to keep in mind there's a lot of folks who are involved in this. So this Child Care Playground project started during COVID, when we started receiving dollars from the North Carolina Child Care Stabilization Grant. And so the purpose of this grant funding was in 2021 from the American Rescue Plan. And this was able to, for our child care program to receive these dollars. And the purpose of it was anyone who was eligible for licensed private, for-profit, or not-for-profit child care programs. And so with that, starting in November of 2021 through June 30th this year, we've been getting installments based off the number of students that we have enrolled in our child care program. And those dollars have been used in multiple ways, not just for the playground project. And for our newer members of the board, I would tell you that those dollars have been used for us to be able to keep our child care rates at a minimum. We've also used that to increase our fund balance to be able to put our child care program on a long-term where we're going to be stable for years to come when it comes to being able to offer that for our families. And also being able to upgrade our child care program with all kind of all the necessities that they have, whether it comes to equipment, books, anything that you can think of. We've been able to use these dollars to help get our child care program up to date and to really be a first-class program. We've also have this dual use. These playgrounds, we're going to be able to, for the first time probably ever, and probably the last time ever, is to be able to upgrade all 13 of our playgrounds, because they have a dual use. It's not only used for recess, but because they are used for our child care programs, these dollars are available to us to be able to use to upgrade. And so that, I just want to bring that to your attention. We have so far received 7 installments of $3,165,949.18. We've got 1 installment left. It'll probably be a lot less, about $15,000, but we're expecting to see that in around June, at the end of June. So that being said, I'm going to turn this over to Mr. Taylor for him to talk to you a little bit about what this timeline looks like. One thing I do want to remind the board that as Mr. Taylor gets ready to talk, every one of our playgrounds at all of our 13 elementary schools, they're getting something out of this project. And that's something that's really important to keep in mind. Everyone's getting some kind of equipment to upgrade their playgrounds. Mr. Taylor.
Good afternoon, board members. In terms of the timeline for this project, it really started again last summer with the decision being made to pursue this. Once that decision was made, we put out a proposal to select an engineer that had experience in evaluating playgrounds and then providing us with information about what they recommend as the next steps to improve them. And so that process was completed in August of last year, where RVE was selected as the engineer for this project. RVE then spent the fall going and visiting each of our playgrounds, each of our elementary schools, to evaluate the current condition of the playground equipment there, but also to evaluate the grading in those sites. After completing those evaluations, they were able to provide us with a preliminary design in January of this year. We presented those preliminary designs to each of the elementary school principals to get their feedback so that they're able to think about it also from a school use as well as the child care side of is what's being proposed going to be beneficial to the school at large. From the feedback that they provided, we were able to follow up with RVE, who took that information and made some adjustments to the design work. All of that was then completed in February so that it could then go out for the bidding process. In working with RVE, a decision was made to break these, all of our projects up into two packages. So Package A consisted of Bruce Drysdale, Clear Creek, Hendersonville, Hillendale, Mills River, and Upward. Those were all selected because the work at those sites, primarily the grading work, was going to be much more extensive than at our other locations. When we think about the grading, they're addressing drainage underneath the playgrounds, as well as the area surrounding the playground and any work and any adjustments that need to be made. Then Package B are the sites that had smaller work to be completed, and so those schools consist of Atkinson, Dana, Edneyville, Etowah, Fletcher, Glen Marlow, and Sugarloaf. All right, so I'll turn it back over to Mr. Rhodes, and he'll talk about the bidding process.
So we started taking bids for Package A April 4th of 2023, and on that day, we didn't receive any bids. And so we put it back out for bid again for April 17th. We actually received 4, but none of those bids were acceptable. So they didn't meet the bond requirements that were needed for them to be able to bid on the projects. And so we just now had our bid openings for Package A, the third bid opening today at 2 o'clock. And after looking at the bids who came in today at 2 o'clock, we had 2 bids. One that came out as the apparent responsive low bid was Bars Recreation. And you'll see the dollar amount for Bars Recreation for Package A. Bars Recreation, you may see that name as being familiar. They're the folks who are doing the all-inclusive child playground at Jackson Park right now. That's the company who is putting that in place. And so they right now are our apparent responsive low bid. And at this point in time, RVE and our folks will be looking at and reviewing the documents that we received today. Again, the 2 bids that came out today, one for Bars Recreation, the other was from Great Southern Recreation, and you'll see the difference in the bids. And then we'll move on to Package B. That bid opening took place in April 27th. RVE and our school personnel have been reviewing those documents, and again, the apparent responsive low bid is Bars Recreation at $621,176.52. You'll see these are the companies who bid on the project. You will see that these all came in very close, but again, Bars Recreation was the apparent low responsive bid. And so what we're coming in today to ask for the board is we are seeking action on Package A and Package B, subject to verification of the bid documents and completion of the final contracts. And if you look at the cover memo of the ask for the board, you're going to notice that there's also a 10% contingency put on each one of Packages A and Package B for that final dollar amount. And I'll be happy to answer any questions that you may have.
So bid Package A, bid Package B are the completed total projects, correct?
Yes, sir.
So what is the total?
$1.7 and change.
Well, plus you got to add a 10% contingency, right, on the first one?
Now, the total with the 10% is going to be $1,737,755.78.
So don't we have to spend the rest of that money by September, or doesn't that have an expiration date on it?
So the project has to be completed September? Yeah, by the end of September. And everyone who has signed up to bid on this project, the expectation they will be finished by that date. That was part of the bid.
So you've got 1.4 million left over.
Correct.
And then that's going to be given back?
Not necessarily, no, sir.
No, we've spent most of that money on paper already.
Okay.
We use that for the things that Mr. Rowe was talking about earlier.
Grading and.
In salaries.
Okay, gotcha.
To.
Okay. So what do we have left right now? And give me an approximation. I don't need dollars and cents, but.
We have a little bit more than what we have budgeted for this project.
So we can cover Package A
enough
and
to
Package
cover
B,
this package.
and then this group can get this done, since you just got this back today. They can get this done by September.
Absolutely.
What happens if they don't?
Well, there's performance bonds on it. There's liquidated damages that are going to be in the contract.
So they do have bonds in case and they've agreed that they can get it done by whatever that date
I
is.
think they have an August 31 date of an intended completion time to give them time for rain delays or anything like that, and time for us to get payment made
All right.
at the end of September.
Well, I tell you, the playground out at Jackson Park looks awesome.
It's amazing. I want to go play on it.
It looks awesome. And so if we can give our kids I know that was a huge price for that particular playground. Like, I don't even know, like 800,000 or something. If we can give our kids a little piece of that, then I'm certainly proud to use that money this way.
Well, I think our team would be able to assure the board that you're going to see, again, everyone is going to get something out of this. And you've got some schools like Upward Elementary, who has no playground right now, who is going to have a wonderful playground when this is over, all the way to Edenville Elementary, who just had a new school built, but will still be getting a piece of equipment out there for their students to be able to use as well. So everyone is going to receive something from this.
Back up to the price and the next one.
Package A.
Yep. All right, and so what is the 958 is not with the 10% contingency, correct?
That's correct. The 10%.
So what's the, give me the number with the 10%?
With the 10%, it's $1,737,000.
No, we're doing it in two, we're doing it
We
in
have to do
two
two
steps.
separate ones.
I got you. I have that number too.
And the reason that we've asked for it in two motions is because we tried to start on A to get it started quickly. We got delayed. So we want to do two contracts to make sure that substantial completion is clear in both.
So package A comes down to $1,054,460 with the 10% contingency added on, and package, well, we'll talk about package B after.
1,054,460.91. All right. Any other questions on this? I'm gonna make a motion for both of these to try to simplify it, if that's okay with everybody. I move that the Henderson County Board of Public Education authorize bid package A be awarded to Bars Recreation, subject to verification of the bid documents and completion of a final contract. The total dollar amount for the bid package A with a 10% contingency not to exceed $1,054,460.91. And two, I move that the Henderson County Board of Public Education authorize bid package B be awarded to Bars Recreation, subject to verification of the bid documents and completion of a final contract. The total dollar amount for bid package B with a 10% contingency not to exceed $683,294.17. Is there a second?
I second.
All those in favor, or is there any other discussion on this? Cool. All those in favor say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Thanks, sir.
Thank you for your patience and understanding in this process so that we can go ahead and get this moving.
No, we've got to get it done. September is a crazy quick timeline, and I hope they can get it done by then. All right. I guess you're next.
I am. Yeah, having to do that
Not
with
even
3
there.
times was
Where are we?
not what we had planned to do. Having that last thing have 3 bids, that was not what we
Right,
we
I
wanted
know.
that done a long time ago.
All right.
We're here today, so we have it. So, purchases over $90,000. That's what I'm here for right now. The gentleman in the back of the room would like to purchase some computers to the tune of $411,000. That is what this is for. And this is part of the PC replacement initiative that we have going on. Last year was through the middle schools. This year is to do the high schools to get them back up to speed with the current standards that we have to have in all of our devices. And we are using Sourcewell co-op pricing, so we don't have to worry about a bid. We have this co-op pricing that we're using to make this purchase. And it comes to us with the recommendation from the technology department.
Where's the 411 currently in our budget?
So a lot of this is going to be coming out of the state 015 budget that we have for technology.
22, 23?
Yes.
And you'll fulfill this before July 1?
Those funds.
They don't expire?
They carry. That usually builds up until it's time for us to make a large purchase, and then we spend a bunch, and then it builds up
So you're buying 440 machines total.
Yeah.
Is that right, Matthew? And then those machines that aged out, are they worth anything? Would one of y'all mind coming down here? I got a couple questions. No, you try to hide back there, but no. All right, just the question I have, like, so the computers themselves are $376,000, right? What is everything else that we're purchasing there?
So the rest of the stuff listed down there, trying to be strategic. So the next thing down there is like a Chromebox. So instead of replacing like what a janitor would use with a full-fledged computer, just trying to save a little money there by using a Chromebox, which is just enough to get them to where they can deal with work orders and things like that. So you can see that's like a third of the cost. So that's just me saving a little bit of money there. You'll also see some laptops there. It has been asked of us for a while to try to see if people like data managers can have something like a laptop. So this is a dockable laptop. It'll feel like a desktop when they're using it without having to buy them both. So especially when there's a scenario where they either need to do work not at their desk, whether that's a situation happening at the school and they're having to go off-site or whatever the case might be because they have all that student data.
Okay.
It just makes it easier to facilitate that, and it saves money in the sense of not having to buy both.
And then you have to buy the dock, of course.
Yeah, but even adding those together, if I were to buy a desktop and a laptop, it would be
Well, sure.
a lot more money. So we're just kind of demoing that with the high school. These are high schools right here, just to see if that will work well for them. And then once we get back to middle and elementary again, we would do that again if it works well for them.
Okay. Does anyone else have a question? All right, well, I'll take a motion. Appreciate you. Anyone?
I move that the Henderson County Board of Public Education approve the attached computer purchase from CDWG.
Is there a second?
A second.
Ms. Dale, all those in favor say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Thank you, Bernie. Oh, you're up for a couple more times. Sole source.
Sole source. So the next one, whenever we are going to be over the threshold for bidding purposes, we have to go out for procurement. We have an exemption where we can use the sole source exemption that historically has been approved through DPI, but DPI has reinterpreted the rules on sole source approval, and they have deemed not necessary for them to be involved. So what we have done is we have taken their procedures and all the rules, and we have taken them upon ourselves. So we're doing our own DPI sole source procurement waiver approvals. And so we did that with this one here. This is for the EC department to buy NovaChat equipment, which just barely beat the threshold there at just over $31,000 to have to be out. But it's these are a portable communication device for students that are nonverbal or have unintelligible speech so that they are able to interact in the classroom. And so this is the only company that makes them. And Dr. Shelton would love to have them be replaced in the classroom. So that's what we're here for, is so that she can make that purchase of $31,000 and declare that NovaChat be the, with Assistive Technology Works, be the sole source for that purchase.
Okay. Pretty easy. Questions? All right, take a motion.
Well,
Yeah, questions?
I'm just missing a little bit.
Sure.
I know we talked about this, but if you will just refresh my memory on what it is exactly. I know you talked about it, but
The process or the device itself?
the device itself. Is that possible?
I will do the best I can.
Dr. Shelton?
She's right here. Come on, Dr.
Would you like to come down
Come on
and-
down.
We'll give everybody a turn this evening, so.
Would you like your notes?
So NovaChats it's a portable device, like Bernie said, and it actually, what kind of bumped the cost over the $31,000 is it has a little protective piece that goes around it too, in case you have a student who might have some physical control issues, that sort of thing. So if they knock it, it won't be damaged. But it's somewhat similar in terms of like a touchscreen device, but it has lots of little pictures on it that have words that are so the student can actually make a sentence or respond. Like a student can push the different pictures to make it ask like, can I go to the restroom? Or answer a question for the teacher. Like if a math problem, you know, what's 2 + 2? The student can press 4 and it will actually speak for the student. It allows the student to not just do academic interactions, but also like on the playground, the student can have it to interact with peers. So it's providing the student that free and appropriate public education that we are required to have in their least restrictive environment, because then they're able to articulate to their peers and their teachers what it is they're learning. And so it's a way to have them in the classroom, have them having as regular of interactions as possible. And we're requesting, this bid is actually, the quote is for 5 devices. And so a student is determined to need one by an IEP team that sort of looks at the student's communication needs, including like a speech language pathologist, teachers and everybody, who will then say, you know, yes, this would help the student access their education. So we have them available. We have some students already using them. Some are getting older, so this will help us replace some of them and also have a couple on hand as we have some more students coming through that are looking like they're probably going to need these devices shortly. Yep.
Anybody else? Thank you, Dr. Shelton. I will now take that motion. Anybody's ready?
I move that the Henderson County Board of Public Education approve Assistive Technology Works as a vendor under the sole source exemption guidelines.
Is there a second?
Second.
All those in favor say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Thanks, sir. All right,
One more.
next, lottery application.
Yeah, I know, I was just here last month.
I know.
They kind of got a little out of sync over at the county with the request, and that's why you see my little handwriting on the document there. There's actually, at the time, there was 511,000 available. They only requested 234 last month, so they have now submitted the application that we have this month for the remaining $277,261.55 that is available to be drawn down.
They just forgot.
But yeah, they just got behind and timing, and
Okay. Well,
now this is the most recent thing that's out there right now. I pulled this offline last week.
okay. Questions? I move that the Henderson County Board of Public Education approve the Public School Building Capital Fund North Carolina Education Lottery application. Is there a second?
Second.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Thanks, sir.
Thank you.
All right. Haywood Road project right away. All of you have seen these documents. We are going to approve these one by one because they're, 2 of them are kind of the same, one's a little bit different. So take it away.
Thank you, sir. Here recently, DOT reached out to us in regards to their project to widen Highway 191 Haywood Road, which directly impacts us in 3 properties, the historic Johnson Farm property, Rugby Middle School, and West Henderson High School. And so the documents that are provided to you today are the proposals that DOT has provided us in terms of their acquisition of right-of-way at each of those 3 sites. As Chairman Craven mentioned, the proposal is broken down, first of all, with historic Johnson Farm first. For that site, DOT is not purchasing any of that property since it is a historic site. Their preference is to impact it as little as possible. And so what they are providing to us as a proposal is just the payment for temporary easement as well as damages to the property that we may have to come back and repair in terms of landscaping. And so really that's going to be the only impact there at historic Johnson Farm. And so what they provided for a total contingent offer in terms of the permanent temporary easements and the value of improvements to it, which again is landscaping that we may have to come back and do once they have finished the widening project, would be a total of $14,825. When we move on to Rugby Middle, the impact becomes a little bit greater. As they widen that project, they're going to extend the turn lane in to that campus, which is going to be a great benefit to us when we think about morning and afternoon traffic. But as they create that, those longer turn lanes, it's going to impact the athletic field slightly, as well as what it really is a gravel parking area across from the entrance there to Rugby. As they widen it, they will build a retaining wall on the athletic field, where that turn lane will come in a little bit. The sign that is currently there for Rugby Middle School will need to be moved. And then again, it will encroach there on that parking space as well. So what they provide us here is a proposal for Rugby Middle School in terms of value, the value for purchasing that property, the easements, the improvements that will need to be acquired. The total for that property is $214,025. And then the final property that's impacted again is West Henderson High School. As they, again, extend the turn lanes there, the impact at that entrance involves three key pieces. The first one is the digital sign that West Henderson has purchased and installed there is going to need to be moved. Also, there are two monument signs that have a stone base that also are going to need to be moved back up on the property. And so we've received some estimates to make sure that what they have proposed for us to cover that cost will indeed cover it. And so we feel good on that end at this point in time. And so in terms of the value for the purchase of that property, the easements, and then the improvements that need to be made at West Henderson, the total there is $242,800. Also at both sites, DOT will mill and repave the entrances at both West Henderson and Rugby, not all the way through the campus, but as you enter into to a certain amount. Okay, so at this time, I'll take any questions that you may have regarding this project.
So a little concerned about Rugby and their playing field down there because it has a softball field and they play soccer and football. I mean, you know, how detrimental is that to them being able to carry out those sports?
So we, Mr. Garrett and I walked that field with Dr. McDarris and Justin McKenzie to get their viewpoint. The retaining wall is going to start pretty much at where the base of that bank levels out. So the retaining wall really doesn't infringe there on the field a whole lot. What they are proposing to do, just to create a little bit of change and get some of that space back, is to shift the athletic field a little bit closer to the creek, so towards the center of campus. Right now they have the bleachers on that side, so they'll flip the bleachers over to the road side as opposed to the school building side. We talked with DOT that in shifting the field 10 to 15 feet that way, the crown now is not centered, and so we are requesting that they help us in regrading and recrowning that field. The response we got from DOT was that's certainly something that we can discuss once their equipment is in place. Their timeline is over this summer to move utilities, and actual construction on the widening of that road would be a year from now, or a year from this coming summer. Correct. Yes. So utilities move this summer, and then the actual widening of the road work would begin a year from this summer.
When would it be projected to be completed?
I don't have that projected date.
They've not shared that. One of the things I think the retaining wall, to speak to your question, Dr. Revis, is it helps maintain more of that, but also you have sewer lines running right through there. So I think they want to put that retaining wall up to not have to do as much with the sewer lines that are existing that run in that right away of that property now, because moving sewer lines is quite expensive, as you know. And then the other side, it depends on when Duke and their contractors will be able then to move the power lines, because as you go toward West Henderson High School, the right side is power, the left side is water and sewer.
How is this going to impact, you know, it's pretty stacked up on 191 right now. It's a rhetorical question. How bad is traffic going to end up being during this construction project, and how are we going to mitigate that and keep our students safe?
Really bad, and they won't tell us. I think it's one of those things that's going to be rough while you're dealing with construction. Now, one of the things that I see them doing, the first thing they're going to do is they're going to take care of bridges. So that's what we would anticipate. So you'll kind of get a feel there as to what they're doing, routing traffic on below, like near the sewer plant and all that, where the bridges are there, to give you a little idea of what that's going to look like. But my guess is they're going to try to work on the sides and then bring it toward the middle. So they'll try to impact it as little as possible, but it's going to be a little bit of a mess.
Now, is there any discussion about holding that, the work hours and holding that work in abeyance until our school traffic gets in and out? Was there any discussion about that? Are they amenable to that at all?
Like nighttime hours or something? they
Well,
could do?
yeah, or just, you know.
But it's residential too, right there.
Right,
so-
don't start construction until 8:15.
Yeah.
So we have, in any construction project that we talked about this with the West Henderson project too, is there are certain times that it's just not going to be good for you to try to even be here. They're not going to be able to get in there
Exactly.
anymore and do that work. So that's certainly something that we will request to make sure that they understand. A lot of times with road projects that I've worked with in a previous district, they understood the flow of morning traffic, and they do it not only because of school traffic, but also just commuter traffic in general.
Okay.
And going back to that retaining wall, that will be level with the road plus the guardrail up against that ball field, or the,
Yes, ma'am.
okay.
All right.
And a little reminder, this is in 3 chunks because it's 3 separate properties. But with the Rugby Middle School property, the county holds the deed on that at this point. So you make the decision on Johnson Farm, you make the final decision on West Henderson. The Rugby Middle decision will then move to the Board of Commissioners, and we would love to get that to them this week so that they can have it on their agenda for next Wednesday.
So I make a motion on what he just said.
It's right there.
I can't say it like you said it.
Any other questions there? Anybody else want to bring anything up? Okay.
I was just gonna say, I mean, while we know the inconvenience during construction will be an issue, I think the results are going to make that traffic flow so much better.
Yeah, it's horrible right now, but it's not going to get better anytime soon
No.
until it gets done.
So one of the things with the end design that the engineer we walked with did share with me is the neighborhood just below Rugby, on the same side as Rugby, will be a right turn only. So they won't be able to come out and turn left. So they'll force them right. There's going to be a turn, a designed turn just above Johnson Farm, so that those folks that need to go back toward Mills River can loop, or they can go, I guess, out of their neighborhood another way. They've got enough turn room in there for a truck to make the turn both at West Henderson High School to come back toward town, or a truck to turn where the 4-lane and 2-lane end to go back toward Mills River. So they've tried to put some things in there to think about long-term traffic use and the fact that you have 2 school properties on opposite sides of the road.
Will 26 be done by the time they start? All right, everybody's laughing. You can't laugh at that. We've been talking about it for 25 years. But hopefully 25 is supposed to be, or 26 is supposed to be done next fall, I believe. But my point is that there's a lot of traffic that gets diverted. Like, I know my wife goes to Asheville and scoots 191 and 280 and goes out that way, right? So a lot of people are skipping 26 to hit 191 right now, hit 25 right now. Whatever.
I think you could have put a question mark, when will it be done?
Right.
But I think when you're looking at moving utilities, you're going to take at least a year to move those utilities. Then the next thing that you're going to have is they're going to have to address the bridges. And that's going to take a substantial amount as well. I would like to think that they're working on some excavation on other parts of the road while they are working on the bridges. A lot of times you have 2 different crews that do the road and the bridges. But you're at least 2-3 years out before you see that widening project completed and a big relief in that area, I'm sure.
Okay. All right. Ms. Steele, you ready? Oh. Oh. Okay. Anybody else have anything to say? I'll wait for a motion.
I move that the Henderson County Board of Public Education approve the NCDOT accusation of the right-of-way of Johnson Farm, Rugby Middle School, and West Henderson High School.
Well,
Is there a second?
Second?
All right, discussions.
I thought we were, the commissioners held the title on one, so we were only gonna approve 2?
No, we
do all 3?
well, we need to approve all 3. So Johnson Farm is our decision, West Henderson is our decision. but I mean, really, it's eminent domain, so it's really nobody's decision. It's, are we accepting what they are offering, right? They're offering 14 grand and some change for one and 240,000 for the other one. Rugby Middle School is being offered, we're getting 214,000. Well, the county is set to receive $214,025 for our property that we have at Rugby Middle, because they have the deed to Rugby Middle right now because of a project that was done back in the 90s, and that deed was never brought back to Henderson County Public Schools. So the county has asked us to, they don't have to ask us, but they asked us to approve this right away.
All three.
Well, no, Rugby is the only one that they can do by themselves.
Right, okay.
So they asked us to approve this and that we're okay with this, so then they would approve it. Now, the key to this is we are hoping that the county would give us the money that, the $214,000 that DOT is going to pay them for the right-of-way, because it is actually our property, and we're going to have to spend money on it to actually improve it, to make the field what it's supposed to be, to make sure the softball field's what it's supposed to be, so on and so forth. Correct?
Yes, sir.
So that's where we're at. But we have a first and a second to approve all three right now. Is there any other discussion? All right, all those in favor, please say aye. Aye. Are there any opposed? Thank you, sir. All right. Oh, you're still here. Capital update. Sorry.
Get rid of that.
You didn't like run off, so I was like, wait a minute. All right, sorry.
Yes, so for this.
I want you to be here, by the way, Carl.
Thank you, I appreciate it.
All right.
For this month's capital update, I'm going to start with the North Henderson Lights. Unfortunately, I don't have the update that I was hoping for. We're continuing to wait on Duke Energy to come out and do the work that they need to do. The original date that they gave us was May 2nd. May 2nd has come and gone. Once it did, they gave us an updated date of May 12th. And so we are hopeful that by the end of this week, they will be out there and have completed that work.
It's a good thing baseball season ended last week, huh?
Yes, sir.
All right.
Yep.
Okay.
So next month, hopefully, I will be able to come forward and say Duke Energy has completed their part, and
next year,
we have
Coach King.
electricity and.
Right. Okay.
In terms of security cameras, again, this is an MRTS project. The middle and high schools, again, all of those cameras and the infrastructure have been installed at those sites. Haynes continues to work with us to address any issues that arise. For example, we've had some issues with the larger cameras that are in our gymnasiums. They're 360 cameras. Actually, it's 4 cameras working together, and so we've had some issues there, and Haynes is continuing to work with us and continue to work with the manufacturer Bosch cameras to address those issues and those concerns. In the meantime, they are continuing to work through our elementary schools. They are currently at Upward Elementary, pulling wire and installing the cameras at that site. With the middle and high schools, they had pull wire first because the cameras were on back order, and then go back to each school once the cameras arrive to install. With the elementary schools, they have everything they need. So when they arrive on site, they're pulling wire, installing cameras, and getting them completed before they move on to the next one. So that will make the process more efficient and more streamlined. Speaking of Upward Elementary, again, this is part of our MRTS, and so since we last met, the county did approve the CMR for that project, and that CMR is Vinoy Construction. And so we will have a meeting with Vinoy in the county later this month as a pre-construction meeting, so that we can begin the discussions about what that project, again, is officially going to look like in terms of the secure entry and the expansion of that cafeteria. In the meantime, in June, we will go ahead and start with the paving that is not part of the construction. The paving that needs to be done at Upward involves both sides of that campus. One is what we call the new back, and that is where the bus lot and the staff lot is going to be located. And so that paving project will be completed in June of this summer. The other side, the larger parking lot, which will become the new front as part of the construction, that is going to be a project that we will look at next summer. It is a much more extensive paving project. As we move on to West Henderson, again, this is part of our MRTS funds. Since we last met, a couple of things have taken place out there. One is soil testing to make sure that the soil around where that new office is going to be built is suitable for construction. Also, we've met with the construction team, Carolina Specialties, LS3P, the architects of record, and then also engineers and other members of the construction team to look at the HVAC, electrical, plumbing, and the structural steel to begin those conversations of what's in the design. Chad Dillon, our Director of Facilities, and Martin Ballard, our Director of Capital Projects, was present so that if they had specific questions related to the school system, they were able to answer those questions. We anticipate by the end of this month that Carolina Specialties will be able to provide the county and us with pre-construction pricing based upon the schematic designs. And then here's just a couple of pictures of where they were out at West for that soil testing. And fortunately, the results came back very positive. The exact phrase I believe that was used is, "This is some of the best soil we've seen in a long time." So that's some good news.
Oh.
Little historical fact.
One of the things I would like to add about this design, and we're really hoping we can keep the pricing, it will add some student bathrooms that are much needed. I think you've heard anytime you've walked through and visited and toured that building, that the bathrooms were woefully lacking when that school was designed years and years ago. So with the enclosure area, with some of the security pieces coming out the backside of the gym, moving toward the X building, it would add a bank of bathrooms in there for students to use, and we're hoping all we can to not have to value engineer that piece out, because I know that will be a much needed relief in some areas there.
Thanks, sir.
You're welcome.
Appreciate it.
Good evening.
Ernie, financial report.
All righty. Couple for this evening. Local current expense, and other restricted funds as of April 30th. Our revenues for the year are just about done at $33,424,714, and expenditures are sitting at $25,359,661. Like I said, so we've received all of our county appropriation money for the year. We have a little bit of Medicaid money that we hope to receive before the end of the year, but other than that, revenue is in and our expenditures are on budget. The other one is our enterprise funds, child nutrition. Revenues at $6,382,000 and expenditures are $6,381,000. So we're sitting much better right now after the third quarter. Both revenue and expenses coming in at 79% of the anticipated annual budgets, so that's looking good right there. And the child care still has the grant money in there, so revenues are $1,752,000 and expenditures at $1,114,000. Operationally, they're still looking good, and the balance is the playground money. We had our first engineer invoice came in, and now we'll be finishing those guys up in the fourth quarter, and hopefully, we will also be paying out $1,700,000 for playground equipment.
Any questions for Mr. Socia? Thank you, sir.
All right, thank you.
All right, and final things, general operations, Mr. Mark Garrett.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, members of the board, those present and listening online. Glad to share this month's General Operations Report with you. Today began the beginning of Teacher Appreciation Week across the nation, and certainly we want to say thank you, not just today or this week, but every day and every week to our teachers and our educators out there. I've really always tried to look at this as Professional Educators Week and include everyone I know that does such a great job to make sure HCPS continues to grow and thrive. May the 10th is National School Nurse Day. We'll have a ceremony in here on that date, and we'll, I think, name our Nurse of the Year. that will be selected from our school nurses that do a super job. I really appreciate the health department and the county's partnership on making sure that we have a school nurse at every school. We have our retirement celebration and Teacher of the Year luncheon, both on May the 11th, so big day, big day of formal events that evening or afternoon and evening at Jeter Mountain Farm, high noon for the Teacher of the Year luncheon, where we will learn who our Teacher of the Year is for the coming year. And then that evening, we'll celebrate our retirements that take place, so kind of the passing of the torch there. Career and Technical Education Scholars Award Ceremony and Reception is at 1 o'clock on May the 17th at Blue Ridge Community College in their Technology and Education or Education Development Center, the TED Center. They just call it the TED Center. Does that get easier? The TED Center. The Top Scholars Banquet is 6 o'clock on May the 25th at Blue Ridge Community College, also in the TED Center.
So can I say something about that real quick? That one, I think, that one is really, really fun for all of us. We get to give out medals and awards and all that. So if you can make that, please make sure to put that one on your calendar. Thank you.
May the 26th is the last day of school and early dismissal for students on the Flex calendar and at the early college as well. That evening will be the early college graduation at 6 o'clock. May 29th will be the Memorial Day holiday for all students and staff. And then June the 9th is a big day, or a big evening, with our high school graduations, with the exception of the early college, taking place that evening. So East Henderson High School at 7 p.m., Henderson County Career Academy at 5:30, Hendersonville High School at 6 p.m., North Henderson High School at 6 p.m., and West Henderson High School at 7:30. Three other things I'd like to mention since the last time we were together. West Henderson High School celebrated a dedication of a historical marker, and I was able to attend that. Clear Creek Elementary celebrated their 20th anniversary as a school, and Rugby Middle School just celebrated 50 years. So this is my 50th year and their 50th year, and Hendersonville Elementary's 50th year. It's a big 50. 1972-73 was a so-so year, if you ask my mom, probably. But it was a good year for Henderson County.
Interesting to see what you're going to say there.
And then the final thing that I want to say thank you to the board on your leadership. In your packet, in your consent agenda, you did approve some money from fund balance to go toward a security project at East Henderson High School. It is not a permanent fix, obviously. As we look toward our MRTS needs and some of those things, we want to make sure that we can replicate at East kind of what we're doing at West to enclose it. But in the meantime, one of the things that you've heard me mention in several meetings and just in some observations is a need to get a perimeter, at least on East Henderson, with the three roads that are around it. So your leadership will allow us to do that, and we'll get started immediately on that. So thank you for that. And that is my report.
Thank you, sir. If there's not anything else, I'll take a motion to adjourn.
I move we adjourn.
Second. All those in favor say aye. All right, we're adjourned.